fragrance that will put your nose and fragrance game to the test. Penhaligon's The Tragedy of Lord George. Welcome to the Fragrant, where your views matter and we discuss and review fine fragrances and perfumes with the goal of helping you to up your fragrance game. Agree with me, disagree with me, that's what the comment section is for. Please leave one, I do read them all. So, The Tragedy of Lord George. The tragedy is that you either understand this fragrance or you don't. If you don't, well, this is the fragrance with which to train your nose, open your eyes and sharpen your wits. Launched by Penhaligon's in 2016, The Tragedy of Lord George is one of the founder fragrances in the Penhaligon's Portraits collection. Each fragrance in the collection centres around a member of a fictional aristocratic family. Each character's individuality is then taken to the limit in celebration of the 19th century English eccentricity. There is a sharp and ready humour in the collection concept which runs through the fragrances, their marketing and packaging. Talking of which, let's dive into the presentation. Immediately my eye is drawn to the illustration on the box by Christiana Williams. It's reminiscent of the historical and fantastical line work by the likes of Victor Ambrose and Ian Miller. There's also a healthy dose of the absurdity of Terry Gilliam in there too. Monochrome immersive imagery punched through with vibrant colour. I love it. A high quality fine corrugated box is adorned on the top with the Penhaligon's logo as well as the royal warrants of the late Duke of Edinburgh and the Prince of Wales. I'll be covering royal warrants in a later video. On the back of the box is the character profile of Lord George and a hint at the nature of his tragedy. Faithful to king and country, the flesh is weak. A vigorous nod to the nature of the fragrance itself. As you open the box, a flash of vibrant green is revealed before we get to the bottle. First things first, the glorious polished gold metal Stag's Head bottle top. There's some weight to it. It fits snugly and snaps firmly into place. The round bottle is a little thicker in the base than the standard Penhaligon's bottle, probably to support the additional weight of the bottle tops. Onto the fragrance itself. Created by Alberto Morillas, this is a fragrance that not only sticks closely to the concept of the collection, it also tugs the forelock to the history and origins of Penhaligon's brand, while simultaneously tweaking the nose and flicking the forehead of a particular kind of fragrance buff. The Tragedy of Lord George is correctly classed as a fougere, a barber's fougere to be exact. Penhaligon's is a brand that originated in 19th century London when William Penhaligon started his barber shop in Jermyn Street, St James, Westminster. So it should come as no surprise that Penhaligon's can expertly blend a barbershop fougere. It should also come as no surprise that the notes of the Tragedy of Lord George are more linear than they are pyramidal. They're supposed to be. If you think that this is a linear fragrance, well done. That's exactly what you were supposed to think. There is a note pyramid in this fragrance, but the fragrance moves through that pyramid very quickly, and so shall we. In the top is a swirling, boozy brandy note. Neroli acts as a glistening highlight which ushers in but is also part of the shaving soap heart. It's a fougere, so we have fresh lavender, violets and a touch of powder from orris. But we also have a hint of green from tobacco leaf. The base swoops in and provides spice, some smoke and edible vanilla sweetness, shot through with vivid green by a dab of cinnamon here and a swoosh of coumarin there. Tonka bean adds a very subtle sweetness, gives quality to the tobacco note and cheekiness to the cinnamon. Finally, cedar and amber warm, shores and supports the fragrance by providing a wings and platform upon and from which the other notes can perform. From the very first sniff, Lord George is quality. He is masculine, confident, assured, elegant yet urbane and witty. He is the very backbone of the aristocracy, but He has his peccadilloes, his Jeeves and Worcester rolled into one, his Lord Melchett and Edmund Blackadder, but at any moment Lord Flashheart could burst into the room. Woof! There are a number of reviews of the Tragedy of Lord George that incorrectly state that this is a fragrance for the older man. It's certainly a fragrance that sorts out the men from the boys. It's a masculine fragrance. It's a fragrance to wear when you're suited and booted. A fragrance that you will need a certain amount of confidence to pull off. It's a classic, gentleman's fragrance. And like any classic, such as a classic car, or in my case, a classic wooden boat, there may be the odd performance issue. For example, I'm going to rejig the usual performance review order. On my skin, the projection is average to good. About 5 to 5.5 feet imperial or 1.5 to 1.7 metres continental. People will have to want to approach you, or you will need the confidence to approach them. The sillage, again on my skin, is average to good. But with the Tragedy of Lord George, people unconsciously gravitate towards the fragrance. Longevity is not great. You will need to reapply the fragrance, but a wash, change of shirt and a reapplication of fragrance is something any gentleman would be doing anyway. Compliments abound with this fragrance, but then if you're wearing the Tragedy of Lord George, you're already dressed to impress and have the confidence to receive compliments. Just like a classic car or classic boat, I already know this fragrance will have some maintenance issues. I already know there might be the odd performance issue. And I know it's going to be damned expensive. Having said that, it's a classic. I know that the quality is exquisite. Everyone around me will know that the quality is exquisite and that I am going to enjoy the ride. Woof! Time I was going.